What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I have a super cool knife to show you guys. This is the Wingman EDC and Riot collab, Tom Mayo designed MDD-K-2 kickstop. I hope I got that correct. If I didn't, I will make sure that the title is exactly right. This is such a cool knife. This knife was provided for review, lent to me by my good buddy Spirited Whiskey. Really appreciate you, buddy. He sent me some super awesome stuff to take a look at. I never would have known that this knife existed. Now, when he showed me a picture of this on Instagram, I got so excited. And I was like, where have I seen that before? I know what that is. And then it popped into my mind all at once. That looks just like the Mayo Shirogorov Russian Dr. Death, right? But it's not. It is a Tom Mayo design, though, and it looks a lot like the Dr. Death. I've always loved how that knife looked, and I couldn't quite put my finger on exactly why I loved the gangster look of this knife. You know, am I using the right word there? Are you guys feeling me? So then I find out that Wingman EDC, who, you know, they have their own company, and they've got their own website, which is where you can purchase this knife other than Recon 1, I think is what you told me, Spirited, the other place you can buy this. They collaborated with Tom Mayo to create this. I think Tom Mayo designs are, you know, it's easy to point them out because of the holes. I think that's what we see there. There's two different versions of this. There's the Model 1, which just has a single row of holes on the show side, and then there's this Model 2 that has holes here and here on the show side and a little bit on the back. Like I said, this is a collaborative effort between Wingman EDC and Riot. They're actually made by Riot. Those of you who are not familiar with Riot, Riot manufactures knives out of China, but I think there is no other Chinese manufacturer in the world right now, I think collectively by the standards of the knife community, that does a better job with fit and finish than Riot. And I'll tell you right now, a lot of people who've been in this hobby for a long time, including myself, I think you're going to be hard-pressed to find better production quality almost anywhere than Riot. I know, and I used to be one of these people, like, you shy away from made in China, especially at these types of prices. But let me tell you, I've handled many Riot knives now, and I have personally paid a lot of money to get my hands on various Riot models, including the Jack, and I have never been disappointed. Riot delivers in terms of quality. We're going to talk all about that in this knife today, or in this review of this knife today. If you are new to my channel, I like to do knife reviews, knife overviews, inexpensive stuff and expensive stuff. I like to do discussion topics. I like to do unboxings. I've got a Quest for the Perfect Budget Knife series on Saturdays, and I've got a Knife Guy series on Sundays. I also like to do lots of knife giveaways. If that sounds good to you and you like daily knife content, this might be the channel for you. So go ahead and hit subscribe and make sure your notifications are set to all, because there's definitely more content coming. For those of you who have been enjoying my content for a while, if you'd like to support me on Patreon, I do have a link down in the description where you can take a look around and you can join any tier. It would mean the world to me. I've got some stickers available, and I also do a once a week exclusive video for my patrons. Anyways, let's go ahead and get a measurement of this beautiful, oh God, I just love how this looks. Overall length, a surprising it's like 7.35, 7.4 inches overall. Blade length coming in about 3.3 inches, and the actual cutting edge right there at 3 inches. Amazing, considering I can get my whole hand around this. This knife absolutely feels bigger than it is, and I love that. I think that's really, really cool. Let's do some size comparisons up against the Ontario Rat Model 1. Rat 1 coming in at 8.6 inches overall, so you can see they're definitely smaller than the Rat 1. How about up against the Spyderco PM2? Spyderco PM2 coming in at 8.3 inches overall, though I want to point this out. Actual cutting edge, we're almost the same between the we are the same between the PM2 and the Wingman kickstand here. You can see there how much bigger the PM2 is, and the amount of blade that you're getting out of the Wingman. There's so many letters and numbers in the code. We're going to call it I'm going to refer to this as the Wingman or the kickstand for the rest of the video. I just really don't want to mess that up, and I'm sure Spirit is already rolling his eyes. What do we got next? Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue. Ritter Hogue coming in at 8 inches overall. So you can see there, again, I just dropped my tape measure. Again, definitely smaller there. And last but not least, the Spyderco Para 3. Spyderco Para 3 coming in at 7 1/4. So closest in overall size as far as the knives that I use as a size comparison to the Spyderco Para 3, but still a little bit longer. This is just this knife throws my senses off. It really does, and I'm always intrigued by that. How about the action on this guy, right? How do you deploy it? Where's the flipper tab? Watch this. Boop. I love that. That's so cool. It does not add any real benefit other than you don't have this. You have a finger guard here already. So traditional flipper designs, like the let me get my hinder out here while I still have it. This is going to Harry, but I've still got it right now. Here's the flipper back here. Ta-da! Now it's out here. Okay, that's fine. It can be a little bit obtrusive. And, I mean, if the lines are correct, then it'll go aesthetically good with the rest of the knife. But this knife does not need that flipper tab sticking out because of how he's got the frame acting as the guard. Now, if there is another function for that, I don't know it, but it's just a way to, it's just kind of an interesting way or an innovative way to have the flipper tab hidden there. So the flipper tab, it runs on its own little pivot, and then the back or the tang, the underside of the tang of the knife, as it comes around, it runs into it and it pushes the flipper tab back up into place. That is so cool. Oh, and does it flip well? Yeah, it flips really well. This is a very light blade running on ceramic bearings that has super smooth action. You can see there, because of the massive amount of material cut out of the blade, we have a blade that's not super heavy, but let me tell you, there's no resistance there whatsoever. It's very, very glassy smooth. It's very Riat-esque. Those of you who have Riat knives, are like, I know exactly what he's talking about. It feels like quality. In fact, I called this knife a custom knife. After you handle a few custom knives, you develop what you think is a sixth sense about it, and your ego's like, I can tell a custom knife immediately. Well, it failed me on this knife. What I thought was a honed sense, a seasoned sense of custom knives. I picked this thing up and I was like, this is a beautiful custom knife. It's a production knife made by Riat. It's a super mega ultra high-end production knife, but Riat does such a good job. They do such a good job that I just was thrown off by it. So I think that's really, really cool. Can you guys tell that I just love? That I just love this? I'm doing that thing where I gush. But yeah, wonderful, wonderful blade. So let's weigh it, because that's another awesome thing. Full titanium, full contoured titanium. Give you guys a look here at the inside so that you know. The frame has holes cut out of it, but it doesn't have traditional milling in the sense that, what you guys imagine when I say milling. Weight on this guy, 3.4 ounces. That is pretty cool, because the blade is just about it's coming up a little higher there. I think officially might be where I'm putting it there. Yeah, officially it's under 3.4 ounces. And that's cool, because that's right about the length of the blade. Considering you have a full titanium construction, and these aren't wimpy scales either. Because of the contouring and the way that he's designed it, you have a full feeling knife. You have a substantial feeling knife, but it's light. And you have a blade that is certainly not weak dimensionally, right? But it's ground in a way that makes it light and delicate where it should be, and powerful where it should be. This knife will throw off your senses, I'm telling you. Maybe it's just me, and maybe I'm biased because I love the look of it, and it has a whole bunch of features that I think are really cool, but I'm telling you, it really throws my senses off. I love that. Let's talk about the anatomy of this knife. Now, there are two different models, like I said, the Model 1 and the Model 2. I don't know if there's different colors or anything like that, but as far as I know, it's just Model 1 and Model 2. What we have here is it's a very bayonet style, very military bayonet style looking blade. Now, this is just a swedge. It's not sharp. Obviously, that's not something that you would want, but it looks awesome. Those lines coupled with this sort of slight raise on the back here, this military hand. I mean, it looks military, but it also kind of looks like an older, just kind of like a gangster style knife from an old like 30s or 40s movie. You guys know what I mean? That's the look that I'm getting here. Very classy, cool, kind of like mob boss looking knife. You know, it's just an awesome looking blade. It has this beautiful hand rub satin finish on the blade, which is indicative of a Riot knife. You see that a lot. Riot does it flawlessly. I mean, it is perfect. It's so beautiful. Everything, has been knocked down. I'm not seeing any craziness in terms of, bitiness on edges or anything like that. Of course, the edge is absolutely flawless, and it does get very thin, despite, once again, I'm going to use my calipers with tape all over them so that I don't scratch anybody's blade. The blade stock thickness being about 155 thousandths. So you still end up with a nice thin edge. What is the blade steel? The blade steel is M390. The only marking that we have on here is right here, the kickstop logo. But yeah, this is absolutely an M390 blade for sure. So beautiful blade, absolute perfection. Because of the design back here, it's one of those where I don't really think it needs jimping up here. This provides just enough of a ramp where you can get some traction there if you want. I just think that's really cool. There is a pretty good sharpening choil area here. It's definitely not a finger choil, but for those of you who plan on buying this and using it, you are going to be able to effectively resharpen it pretty well. It does come down to a fairly thin tip. I think that's part of the design. Just be cognizant of it if you're really going to be stabbing this into stuff and digging around and risk breaking the tip. You have bead blasted contoured titanium scales. Traditionally, I will always choose a different finish over bead blasting, but this looks like the only finish scheme that should be on this knife. Bead blast and satin. That's how this should look. That's how it looks. It's perfect. I wouldn't want tumbled and tumbled on this blade. I would want satin and I would want bead blast. Why? I don't know. It has to do with the lines and what my brain wants when I'm looking at this. Very simple domed off show side pivot that sort of matches the bead blasting. You can see here that these holes have lips. They haven't been polished, but they look really nice, really classy. It looks very military. You know what I mean? This appears to be the head of the screw on the other side that has also been domed off just to make it look nice instead of just a shaved off screw, so that's cool. Open body design, you can see we have a gear pattern backspacer with a lanyard bar back here. That's really nice. Everything's out of the way. Looks really great. The pocket clip goes perfectly along with the contouring on. They've even contoured the pocket clip a little bit. You can see they're up top. Goes perfectly with the design of the knife. It carries about right here. Not a lot sticking out. I mean, it's just super classy looking. Like, all this is mega classy looking. What size are the screws? Well, I'll tell you. They are I believe those are a T8. So thank you. For the love of God, thank you for doing that. Look at this. Even the screw on the... even the screw on the lock bar insert is at least a T7. That's awesome. In terms of construction here, I mean, this is going to be super easy to disassemble. There are not a lot of pieces, and that is so... Oh, that's so good. Thank you so much. That is so cool. I love that. I don't know what Riot's rules are about taking their stuff apart, but for those of you who want to take this knife apart, it should be pretty easy. It's running on ceramic bearings, but even with the bearings being in there, it really shouldn't be that crazy to take this all apart. The screw for the pocket clip, by the way, is hidden, so that's really nice. Another classy touch. There is a steel lock bar insert doubling as the over travel stop. You can see there we're locking up at about 25 to 30%. Centering is absolutely dead on. Dead on. No blade play, up, down, left, or right. I don't want to put fingerprints on this blade. You guys are going to have to trust me without just watching me wiggle it, which I could be lying about at any time, but no blade play, up, down, left, or right. So I know you guys are like, okay, Complex, you've talked about everything that you like. Is there anything that you don't like? Not really. I mean, like, this is one of those knives that is designed in a way that to look super cool, but at the same time, none of the aesthetic design elements get in the way of anything that I would consider to be utilitarian or functional. The knife is light. It's made out of premium materials. It flips reliably. It has a blade shape that's going to be fantastic for any EDC task you could ask of it. The pocket clips in the right place, comes in and out of the pocket easily. Ergonomically, do I have a good purchase? Yeah, absolutely. The lines are great. Okay, here's one thing I could just barely complain about. This creates the slightest, not really even though, maybe just this edge creates the slightest hot spot. If I was really going to go to town with this knife and use it over and over and over again, you know, for 30 minutes. Okay, maybe. Not that big of a deal. Ergonomically, I feel locked in. I feel secure despite this being a smooth surface. It's the combination of the lines, these the finger guard that is part of the frame, and the palm swell and the contouring. It's wonderful. This is a knife where every time I flip it out, I'm met with this sense of joy and awe. It's just a sweet piece. It's super cool, and I would totally EDC this. I mean, it's so light, and I mean, it has so much functional blade, and it's just so, I mean, the ratios are great. It just has this amazing balance of like classy, cool, and kind of interestingly intimidating. And it has that neat little feature, you know, it's a conversation piece. Watch this, guys. Oh, and it kicks out, and then it goes and just comes back to this nice little, it's just like an extra upper backspacer kind of thing. It just, everything is so nice. Yeah, this is super cool. Here's the only bad thing about it. I mean, and I'll tell you right now, I completely understand where they're getting the price. $490 is what you're going to pay for this. Now, I just lost about 75% of the people who are still watching this. That's fine. This price range is definitely not for everybody, and there's no reason that anybody should graduate into this price range. But if you're wondering whether or not I can see the value here, yeah, guys, this is definitely above what you might expect from WE knives, you know, or ZT knives, or, you know, knives that a lot of people are familiar with in that price range. A lot of people think like, oh, it's a titanium frame lock running on bearings, it's 20 CV. I can get the same thing for around $200. You can, but it's not going to be like this. This has a little more to it. You can tell there's a little more love and care that went into every last little detail. If you don't see value in stuff like that, then this isn't going to be the knife for you. But if you can understand where I'm coming from here, and you like how this knife looks, you know, this is about as expensive as it gets as far as whether or not I can recommend a knife. In fact, this might be the most expensive knife that I can legitimately recommend to anybody willing to just grit their teeth and move up to that line. And that's I'm taking a risk doing that. You know, with anybody who values my opinion is probably going to take a step back from that. But I love this thing so much. This is one of the coolest knives that I've ever handled. This knife is going to go on my recommended knives playlist despite it being an expensive knife, despite it being in a price range that I know full well not everybody is capable of you know, getting into. It's also going to go on my favorite knives of all time playlist. I just think this is awesome. If you want to pick one of these up, the Recon One website or the Wingman EDC website are the only places to do so right now. Spirited Whiskey, thank you so much for showing me this. This is excellent. This was, I'm sure you could tell, this was an experience in and of itself, one that I have thoroughly enjoyed. I hope you guys were entertained by this video at the very least. You know, even if you don't plan to pick this up, I hope it was at least entertaining. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do of course have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on this Metal Complex logo right here and subscribe to my channel, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.